Screw it. This is the default. That's what we're getting.
Ooh, that's nice.
Is it that or the brick wall? I don't want to feel like I'm doing stand-up.
No, that's classy right there.
I think Joe Colton used that one once. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Special Edition 89 here on the old What's on Joe Mind program. I'm your host, Mike Irizarry. We are a fan cast about the world of G.I. Joe. Joining me here in the top row, he is the former head of marketing for G.I. Joe at Hasbro. It's the Hot Show, Mark Weber.
That's right, man. We got more special editions than most people have editions.
Right, and let us be somewhere in the middle of the crowd of folks to wish you guys a Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday, whatever your preferred term may be. And joining us for this very special occasion, from Knowing Is Half the Podcast, Robert Clarke-Chan is with us tonight.
Happy honk, everybody.
Robert Clarke-Chan.
Hi.
Why
you said that like I was supposed to jump in with something, but it was real vague, so I don't know what I'm doing here.
I went with Hoy, and I thought that was fine, so I was going to start in there. It's okay. It's right.
Okay.
So
Cody Rhodes, boy, that is a hell of a thing. Chasing that belt,
that neck tattoo, it's still terrible.
Mm-hmm. And it will always be,
unless without painful removal sessions. I mean, I'm gonna guess he can afford those, but would he?
No, you can't go back from a neck tattoo. Mm-hmm. Everyone knows that it was there. You can't pretend. You can't like put over like, oh no, I just got some roses there. That's totally normal, right?
I mean, the Undertaker had Sarah on the front of his
throat.
Neck.
Yeah.
I bet that was fun to get off of there.
That was I mean, to be fair, wrestlers by and large, not the people you want as your choice for good choices.
Right.
Wow, that was a lot
role model.
Thank you. Why am I on this show?
I
can't even think of the word role model.
I like that the Undertaker took his ex-wife's name off his throat and then married a girl who looked just like her. It seemed kind of weird. Like, couldn't he just? I mean, you love who you're gonna love, but couldn't he just change her name to Sarah and we'd be good? Leave the photos up.
Yeah, I feel like it's okay to just have a succession of the same person as you go. When you're rich like that, you can just do that. Just replace with another one and another one and another one.
Yeah, it's good. The younger model.
Yep. I'm not going to be mad at him for having a type. I think what would have made that perfect would be is if his wife Sarah had left him for Diamond Dallas Page.
Ooh,
that'd be nice.
Would have been just.
It would have been a good bit.
Is this what the podcast is about?
No, because Rob doesn't like wrestling. So we don't talk wrestling when Rob's on much.
Rob he doesn't like wrestling, but I make Rob watch wrestling, and he's in.
Yeah.
He likes to pretend he's not in, but he's in.
I feel you.
He's in. I got him. Seamus was the intro for him, is that he was amused by this man who is even paler than Mark.
Yeah, he's my role model. He's my role model.
Coming on the screen and just slapping the shit out of people.
Yeah, I've been training, not the weights, but staying indoors a lot.
Mm-hmm,
wearing long sleeves.
Yeah.
Someday.
Did you dye your hair yet, though?
Dude,
you gotta get that red.
I mean, the color's not bad.
Redder.
It's thinning out though, so I may never get him. And if I try to do the beard, it's all silver on the sides. So
I have no idea what that would be like.
Right?
It's the whole reason I keep it clean mostly. Is
I was salt and pepper and distinguished for like 6 months there. Then it went to hell.
Because I got a few years left up top if my dad was the setting for me. You know, if those are the genes that I'm following down, we'll have a good lid for a little while yet, but beard is the beard is showing me off.
I got to invest in headphones with like a quarter toupee on the front, so I can just put that on and be like, yeah, showtime.
I don't know why we aren't selling that now, because I know of a few podcasters that should really have that.
That's a big part of why they went into podcasting, though.
I know, but now we've moved to video. Now we're video. Jesus Christ. There's no reason for people like us to be on camera.
Oh, there's one really good reason.
Yeah. It's much easier to edit what we do.
Mike's not editing 8-hour audio broadcast down to 3 hours.
With our room full of chatty bastards.
Yeah, that's true. I hate those guys.
That's what I'm doing here. Okay.
No, that's what Rob does. That's why Rob's not here tonight.
Well, fortunately for you, you have another chatty Rob.
Right. So anyways, Robert Clarke-Chan, or Chan for short.
Whatevs.
Give us the backdrop on your intro way back in the day. What made you as a youngster say, G.I. Joe is pretty cool?
My mom wouldn't let me watch it.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. I mean, like, guns, obviously, had a hippie mom who was like, no guns, no playing with guns, no guns in the house, nothing. And so naturally, I was like, well, give me all the guns. I would turn every stick into a gun. I would turn every piece of silverware into a gun. And then I found out there was an entire show devoted to cool ass guns. I'm like, yeah, obviously. And truth be told, the Transformers hit me a little bit harder, because it turns out I want to be a robot slightly more than I want to go crazy with the firearms. But still, like, they're both very much of a piece.
There's much fewer pull-ups involved being a robot, so I can understand that.
Yeah.
But so around what era were we jumping on for here? When was your?
It would have been, I guess, it would have had to have been like right around the first run there, because that was like, I was like 9-10 years old, watching it on weekdays, just coming home from school, and getting those hooks in.
I feel you on that one, because my mom was the same way, but thankfully I have growing up, I had a near puritanical older sibling that was way into G.I. Joe too, and he didn't turn into a psychopath.
Okay.
That made them feel better about me. I was always a little bit more rambunctious, so there was a concern there that, we don't want to give this kid toy guns. And then it turned out, you know what, he's all right, that one.
Well, I was a latchkey kid, so it wasn't so much that like, I was allowed to do whatever I wanted. I just could. Right. I just had to know to clean things up after, before my mom got home. If she asked, like, what did you watch? I'm like, Sesame Street, Electric Company, PBS, just all PBS.
All that educational shit. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. What you gonna do? Call me a liar?
Right.
Probably. What's that gonna solve? That's what I'm learning as a parent.
As you drop your empty beer bottles behind the couch. That's educational stuff. That's fine. Not so loud.
That's the thing. That's, again, what I'm learning is, like, pick up the beer bottles. For God's sakes, don't just leave them on the floor. Throw them in the garbage before I get home. What's wrong with you?
Right. That is the whole trick to winning at latchkey childhood, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just knowing how to clean up well enough that you didn't get caught doing the stuff you weren't supposed to do.
Well, and having available alcohol is the best way to get through the DEEK years. So,
I mean, I didn't watch the DEEK years till I was a full-ass grown adult, and you know what? It didn't help.
No. Yeah.
Getting stone cold blasted still didn't help, because I still have memories of it.
Yeah, that can't be fixed.
It cannot.
We're currently, for the podcast, we're in which years is it? Is it Resolute? It's not Resolute. It's the
you're
like the first anime one.
Yeah. You're in Sigma 6.
Sigma 6, that's the one. Yeah.
You're only the one who's having to watch these and do the podcast, Chan. I shouldn't be having to coach you through that.
Here's the thing. I do anything I possibly can to not watch the G.I. Joes because honestly, the original Sunbows are the peak. And as you go through, you'll find like 2 or 3 episodes in any given season where you're like, oh, hey, that wasn't bad. It's almost like the as good as the originals. And then you have to slog through another 24 episodes of pure garbage. So,
right.
Yeah, as much as I can put it out of my head, I can.
Right. There was Extreme was better than you'd think.
It was. I was surprised.
Yeah, like the animation was pretty awful and blocky and dark, but the stories were okay.
Yeah, the aesthetics of it like really bothered me because it was deep in the 90s,
right.
And everything felt like you were drinking an energy drink, or like they weren't even energy drinks at the time. We were drinking Surge and watching brightly colored cartoons, and that was it. Thinking that we were like a cutting edge or something. Awesome punks. We were all street sharks in a way. But yeah, that does not age well. It does not age well.
No, what's funny is that was such a great time for comedy cartoons with Pinky and the Brain and Animaniacs and Freakazoid and Tiny Toons, and like there was really good comedy shows at the time. But for action shows,
I mean, honestly, there have been action cartoons. That's one of the mainstays of the animation genre, and I can't think of a golden age for them. It's a real hard genre to get right because you're, pitching it to kids, and you want to be more complex, more you want it to be darker, you want to have higher stakes, but you can't because you're pitching it at 8 and 9-year-olds.
Right.
There aren't a whole lot of shows that I can think of that really do that well. I feel like Pirates of Darkwater was one of them.
Yeah. I forgot about them.
Yeah, a couple others.
I mean, when Superman and Batman came back.
Yeah, the BTAS and okay, you know what? I suppose there was kind of a golden age there with DC.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But even still, there was a little window in there, but like 94, 95, when Batman animated series was done for a little bit, and they hadn't started Superman yet, and that second run of Batman hadn't gotten going. Yeah, that was where G.I. Joe Extreme fell, and it wasn't bad.
It
wasn't as
bad.
Wasn't X-Men rolling on Fox about then?
Oh, wait.
95, 96 for X-Men, I think.
Was it? I don't know.
Something like that.
X-Men 94 is the that's the reboot. So did it start in 94? Yeah, they're rebooting it now and calling it X-Men 94. So I guess it would have to have been.
So confession time. I never actually watched the X-Men cartoon.
Oh, it's pretty good.
I wasn't an X-Men guy. I was an Avengers guy. So it bothered me that the heroes I liked better were not getting a TV show. I did watch Spider-Man.
I honestly wasn't aware that there were Avengers guys because I was an X-Men kid. And such an X-Men snob that when the cartoons came out, I was like, this is not the real stuff. Come on now.
Right. Where are the real X-Men with the gorilla?
Yes. Pre-show jokes. Very much into it. Yeah. I started reading X-Men comics when I was in the 5th grade, and so by the time the animated show came along, I was like, I'm sorry, this isn't dark enough and gritty enough for my tastes. And then looking back on it, it was a real solid show. Much better storytelling than a lot of the other stuff of the time. But
books you defended as a child.
I showed it to my daughter's a big X-Men fan, and Kitty Pryde is her number one, like ride or die. And I
Mhm.
showed her the very first episode of that X-Men thing, and they all pop up and run around, and Jubilee shows up in the intro, and my daughter's like, "Who the hell is Jubilee?" Because she was old enough to realize she was in the kiddie role, right? The eyes of the child, the new to the teen kid. Who the hell is Jubilee? Yeah, you're not gonna like her. She's not gonna get better.
No, it was a tough character to get right.
Yeah.
But Larry Hellman did okay with her, and he was about the only one. He was really about the only one. So, Chan,
Yeah.
let's fast forward to your adulthood.
Oh, please.
Right? Because frankly, all that reminiscing is kind of giving me a headache.
We got to skip over the adolescent years, which are not a good time for me.
No.
Also, my late teens, early 20s, mid to late 30s, early 40s, not great. Mid 40s, whew, that was a stinker. Late 40s, doing okay. Doing okay.
So, I mean, you're doing okay here at 74 years young.
Ooh.
It's I feel like black don't crack. So,
Yeah, I was going to say you look sensational for
Thank you.
74.
Right.
Yeah. I feel 73.
Right.
Ooh, look, we barely make any money on this as it is.
Right.
The last thing I need is them coming after me.
So we could have played Careless Whisper on loop behind that whole thing, and it wouldn't have mattered.
I don't need to get on any lists. Is all I'm saying. all this channel shit's in my name. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah.
The only list you're on is Tim Roberts' list.
That's your list.
No, you don't think you're on there by affiliation? Come on.
I mean, sure, but that's still secondary.
Right. It's so hard to find an Irizarry out there.
Safety in numbers. I'll just move to San Juan.
That's how I'll know when Tim Roberts is on the hunt, man. Is when you and Rob disappear and Stinky too.
Right. We'll be in San Juan where there's thousands of us. It's the only place in the world, Puerto Rico, where there's a ton of Irizarrys. That's it. That's all there is. So, anyways, take us back, Robert Clarke-Chan. Give us your version of the origin of Knowing Is Half the Podcast.
I had met a very nice person doing sketch comedy, topical sketch comedy out here in Los Angeles. Got invited to her wedding that was the minister. What do you call that? The person who does the services?
The efficient.
The officiant, yeah, was Emo Phillips. And I'm like, dang, man, I'm in Hollywood. I'm big time. Yeah, met the weird ass dude she married, started hanging out, and he was like, you want to do a podcast about G.I. Joe? And I said, no, that sounds like a terrible idea. I will not. You're right.
Yeah.
That we should have listened to our inner voice and told us, or even the outside voice that actually said it out loud. Don't do this. This is a terrible idea. But we went ahead and did it anyway. I got another cool comedy person I knew, and that was 8 years and change. Still doing it. Just we started out watching every G.I. Joe. I thought we were going to stop with Sunbow. That's 80 some episodes.
Right.
I was like, cool, that's it, out, and then moving on. And then they were like, yeah, but there's still more G.I. Joe. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
And it's just that's it. That's
You just keep on rolling. You're taking it all chronologically.
That's the idea. I started interspersing other cartoons in there, and so we've done, I think, something around 500 episodes now, just like all sorts of cartoons, a lot of G.I. Joe, and just having fun with it.
The episode that I was on with you guys was the Sabrina the Teenage Witch Halloween special. So yes.
Yeah, good stuff.
truly a left turn from the world of GI.
There's a lot of really fun holiday animated specials out there.
Yeah, you guys have really become something of an encyclopedia on those. You're almost, dare I say, a topic expert.
Ooh.
I mean, I wouldn't call myself a topic expert in much the same way that you wouldn't say that someone who'd been tortured in Vietnam was an expert on torture.
Now I'm gonna have to edit this out too. No, we'll leave that in.
Yeah. We've watched a lot, and there have been some good ones and a lot of really, really terrible ones.
Yeah. You've done some of the ones that I remember seeing as a kid and thinking as a kid, this is terrible. Like, that's how you know you've got a bad holiday special.
Man, why would you even? I remember being that age and turning something on and going like, the hell is this? And just not watching it and feeling bad because, like, man, we're showing cartoons at 8:30 at night and I'm not watching it. What a ripoff!
Right. Like, I watched because it was a cartoon at 8:30 at night. And I was generally good to my parents, so I needed some outlet to make them suffer.
I see. Okay.
So I watched, but again, I remember sitting there as a child, staring blankly at the television, going, "This is terrible. Why am I watching this?"
That's what I felt about Masters of the Universe.
Which one?
All of them.
Fair enough.
Mark's just got a thing on the He-Mans.
Hey,
even as a kid, I'm like, I think 80% of this was recycled from the last one, right? The animation was just so obviously the same stuff. They just dropped stuff in. It was like when Derek, my firstborn, was young. My wife's a big Disney fan, and so she got him turned on Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, right? And the whole episode was about getting the hot dogs to the picnic. Oh, we got to get the hot dogs to the picnic, and spoiler, they did. It all worked out okay. And then Mickey was like, "Ha ha, let's sing the hot dog song," and I'm like, makes sense. Right? The hot dogs are kind of central to this episode. So they sang this big hot dog song. And then the next episode, it was like, oh, I don't know, Goofy's in a hot air balloon that can't come down. Oh my goodness, let's save him. Or let him go, right? I mean, who cares? But
Goofy,
right?
You did.
Gosh, they're letting me die. Yes, they are, Goofy. But they pull him down and it's all good and they're happy to see him and he's happy to be back on Earth. And Mickey goes, let's sing the hot dog song. And I'm like,
hot
wait,
dog, hot
that's
diggity dog.
You just sang the hot dog song yesterday. Where's the welcome back Goofy didn't die song? Or the surface to air missiles didn't lock on to Goofy as he left international airspace. No, right. We're just going to sing that hot dog song again.
As he floated over communist China.
Just roll the Launch from Galactica footage and we'll be all right. Same thing.
I feel like there was a thank goodness Goofy didn't get nuked by surface-to-air missiles, and it got cut. It got removed from the episode and just replaced with Careless Whispers.
Oh, that's good too. I heard he floated. It was a heavy northbound wind. He landed in Canada and got eaten by Wendigo. Who knew?
Dag. That is.
It's happening
to more and more Disney characters.
And after the death of Goofy, Pluto stood upright on his hind legs and just walked into Goofy's house and said, "Daddy's home." It's a good play.
Right. It all tied together in my head like that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh my God. What are we talking about again?
I mean, you're the one with the questions, man.
It's hard to remember because so much has been cut out to this point.
Keep this show on the rails. That's your job.
I'm not good at that job. Folks, comments will tell you I'm not good at that job at all. Like most weeks, we're on every Tuesday, Chan. There's probably 45 minutes worth of show, and we're struggling to keep it in under 2 hours. So rails are not there for us.
Let's talk about another podcast that I do where we're recapping a 2-hour show that the recap frequently runs up against the 2 hours that we watch the show. So I feel you.
That's better than you do with Knowing Is Half the Podcast when you guys do take a 30-minute holiday special and talk about it for an hour and 45 minutes.
I mean, here's the thing. That is, it's there for commentary. The whole point is we're spinning that sow's ear into a silk purse to make you appreciate the experience of the time that you would otherwise have wasted watching the goddamn Mirthworms Christmas special.
Yeah, that's a tough one, man. That is in fact very much on the list of that. When I had that realization earlier this week that there were just shows that I remember blankly sitting and watching, like Mirthworms Christmas special is what triggered that thought. I remember sitting there and watching that and realizing as a child, hey, this is no good at all. Why am I sitting here watching this? Oh, it's because there's cartoons on at night.
The good news is you can think that each and every single one of those people that put out a special like that with some what looks like a toy line, it definitely looked like they had in their head, man, we're going to drop this holiday special. It's going to blow up Cabbage Patch style. Everyone's going to want a Mirthworm. People are going to be storming the toy stores trying to grab these things. We're going to be billionaires. And then just crickets.
Yeah.
Were there Mirthworm toys? I don't remember them if there were.
I mean, that's all you need to know. Surely there's a landfill somewhere full of ET video games and Mirthworm dolls.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Didn't they find that ET landfill?
They did.
Yeah.
Which means that someday someone might find the Mirthworm landfill.
Right.
Except no one's looking for it.
Just right.
And they wouldn't tell anybody. Like,
no.
Keep that down the down low.
There's a secret Da Vinci Code society that's specifically tasked with burying the secrets, and no one will ever find it.
So, Chan, how would you rate? You've said now that Sunbow is the pinnacle of G.I. Joe animation for you.
Oh yeah, unquestionably.
How would you rate them after that?
Deke is the nadir, not just of the franchise, but of Western culture.
There you go.
What was after G.I. Joe Extreme? Had some ups and downs. There's some pretty solid people working on it, so a lot of the storytelling was better and had a right to be. The one we're on now, Sigma 6, is like someone was like, oh man, Pokemon's big, let's make the G.I. Joe version of that, and it goes about as well as you would expect for someone trying to make a Pokemon version of G.I. Joe.
You've done the first season of this, right?
Yeah.
I as I understand, mind you, I have not seen any of them, but
it's out. It's right there. Hey, it's free on YouTube. Hasbro is like, no one is going to purchase this. There is zero money to be made from this. We own it, and it would cost us more to print on. It would cost us more to stream it and try and charge for it than to just give it away. So it's sitting there on the YouTube. You can get it for free. The official version. Do it. Try it, please.
No,
I dare you.
No, again, I have seen a couple episodes from season 1, but I have not seen any from season 2. And I understand that season 2 is a little bit better.
Yeah.
So
it's not horrible. It's just they're trying to do a thing that just doesn't make much sense. Like they're doing a passable job of doing a kids, oriented anime show. It's just like, why would you put G.I. Joe into this?
Right. They were great toys.
Yeah, it helped sync a really good toy line. So
the toys were good?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm surprised.
Toys were excellent.
It's probably the best packaging ever done for any G.I. Joe toy. They had, it was like almost like a rectangle cylinder that the toy came in with a gray plastic top and bottom that once you opened it, became like a weapons case for all the weapons, and it had a blinking red light on the top of some of them. So when you
Jesus,
walk down the aisle, it was actually going, check me out, check me out, check me out, check me
that
out.
sounds awesome.
Not bad, man. Like, and then they got a cartoon to go with it and money to develop, and they put out that steaming turd that sank the whole thing. Well done. Oh, and even better, midway through, they went, well, it's selling okay, but we feel we alienated the 3 3/4 collectors by going to a, what was it, 7-inch scale?
They were
8-inch scale. So they said, we want to bring, let's do another scale because we alienated our core base. Here's our new 2.5-inch line, which pleased no one.
We represent the Lollipop Guild.
it.
The Lollipop Guild.
So they sank a ton of money into brand new tooling at a brand new scale that no one wanted. If they'd have made 3 3/4 as the second scale, and if that cartoon had been good, we might still be buying Sigma 6 figures right now.
Right. Well, they were doing it at the same time as 25th anniversary. So yeah, we'd have bought those up.
Yep.
We'd have bought those up.
This is why you don't let executives make creative decisions.
Right.
Mark's a marketing guy. He puts the mark in marketing.
I do.
How much of this crap do you buy?
I mean, I feel real bad about this, seeing as how it's a figures show, but honestly, I mostly buy Funkos.
We knew there was somebody.
I mean, for me, it's it's there are very few things left that I'll bother buying merch for, and so it's driven by, you know, just that. Like, I would like a Parks and Rec character, please. And Funko has the most of those,
Right?
and then I'll just like get like 1 or 2, you know, as specific as you can get. Oh yeah, the one from that specific episode where they're washing dishes, and then that's it, and then I'm out.
What's the nice thing about Funko is whatever you want, they probably made it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
I've never seen a company with that good a licensing reach. Like, pretty much whatever they want. Beatles, sure. Beastie Boys, yeah, no problem. Like, they grab stuff that hardly anybody else has gotten a guess for.
I feel I don't know. It seems like they just must have such a low overhead that they can, you know, like cut deals for all sorts of crazy stuff, and, you know, just crank out a bunch, and if it doesn't work, throw them in the trash, make some new ones.
There you go. Just repaint them. It's fine.
Yeah,
that's just it, Mark. They don't repaint them. Like, they're all different. Even the ones of the same character. It's never just a new paint job. It's always different.
I'm not sure how that works.
Yeah,
but
it's weird. It's. I think we're starting to see that business model crack for them. But I mean, Lord knows they made their fortune getting there.
Here's my dare to the Funko Pop people. Go lock down Calvin and Hobbes. Tell me how that works. Tell me how far you get with Calvin and Hobbes. Tell Bill I said hi.
He wrote a book, so he's actually easier to find these days.
Right, but he doesn't license Calvin and Hobbes.
5 years ago, they wouldn't have even been able to find him.
Yeah,
I'm saying now they can find him to get the rejection.
Yeah. Now some of the journalists, they can go through them to find the guy. But now he's got all that sweet book money. You know, so he doesn't need no Funko cash.
Right.
When I was back at McFarlane Toys earlier in my career, they did a mock-up of Calvin and Hobbes on the sled going, you know, straight downhill, 1 billion miles an hour. It looked sensational. And they called him up, or called up his representative. And the guy was like, "Oh yeah, you have licensed Calvin and Hobbes. I have one question for you. Is it a calendar?" No, it is not a calendar. Then we're done here, said the guy. And that's it.
Well,
is that the best or worst job in the world?
Right? Just pretty cut and dry there, right? One question for you guys. Is it a calendar? And I think at one point somebody was able to actually get an audience where they brought the prototype out to show him. And he was like, you know what? That is actually pretty cool, but it's not a calendar. All right. Good to know.
I don't know if you know who Steve Albini is, but he's a Chicago guy who was like in the punk scene and became a producer slash engineer, and he's mainly known for just being the most dickish like principal guy in the history of history.
Oh,
And like, oh, like, oh, you sellouts, like he's the guy who produced Nirvana's In Utero, and instead of like one of the biggest albums of all time, instead of like getting that sweet producer money, he's just like, I'm flat fee, I'm gonna be your engineer, and that's it. Because he's just like, I don't believe in all of the music industry is garbage. And I feel like and I love that man so much, because agree or disagree with him,
Right.
like where he stands, and there's never any wavering. There's never any like, oh geez, but like that is a lot of money, maybe I should compromise just a little bit. And I feel like Bill Watterson's the same way, where you're like, dude, what is wrong with you?
yeah.
Like, you could have fed Africa with the money that you got from merchandising, but you just got to respect that. You
Yeah.
got to respect that kind of craziness.
Right. Instead, he can only feed half of Africa with his publishing money.
Right.
Well,
No.
do people still read Calvin and Hobbes? I know I'm talking to the wrong audience because
Yeah.
we're all old, but like, does a 12-year-old know who Calvin and Hobbes is anymore?
Maybe not.
What the problem with that is, I think daily newspapers have all but abandoned comic strips, but
Yeah,
like they're still with a syndicate. They're still run those strips online on in some kind of daily format, where if you go to whatever group that is, if you go to their site, you can still get a daily Calvin and Hobbes. So I'm sure that model isn't working for them like the old newspapers did. But
I can't imagine it would be.
I mean, if mom and dad have those books on the shelves and they're going to look at something with funny pictures with a kid and a tiger, the odds are good that they'll be at least into it for a little bit.
For what it's worth, if you need to get your daily fix of Snuffy Smith and Barney Google, you can do that too.
The Wizard of Id, come on, baby,
Right?
let's go.
When was the last time somebody had a daily itch for Snuffy Smith and Barney Google?
I mean, as a kid, I was huge into comic strips, and one of my favorite things to do would be to go to a used bookstore and just find those little paperback collections of like just anything,
Right.
because that's just like how they got put out, and I don't know how much the creators made off of that kind of thing, but my grandmother would collect daily comics pages from the Bakersfield Californian and like send them to me every couple months. So I would just have like 2 months worth of comics pages to go through, and it's so great. But
cool.
like, what 12-year-old, 6-year-old would watch that anymore when they could turn on Netflix and have dozens upon dozens of cool animated stuff to watch, or uncool animated stuff? Like, the 3/4 of the comics pages were garbage anyway,
right?
But we still read them because that's all we had. So now they could just watch Coco Mill until they turn 60.
I remember my dad once in a while would erupt and be like, "Enough comic books. We're taking you to the library." Okay. We go to the library, they sent me down to the kids section, and it was a real bear for a couple months. And then I found the area with the comic strips compiled. And I'm like, yeah, cool. Let's go to the library. Can't wait.
Yeah. My folks tried that too. And then Rob found all of the reference books about comic books.
Okay.
And then I look across the room and I see a couple of bookshelves full. And I know there's a couple of more in his room full of just comic book reference material. The man knows more about comic books. He has forgotten more about comic books than I've ever learned. And I'm pretty deep in comic books. Yeah, it's so they thought they were being smart, but
Yeah.
not so
Here's
much.
a weird thing about being a parent is I just assume that all kids just want to hole up in their room and read all day long. Turns out some of them like being social and don't actually need to hole up in a room to hide from everyone. So it can be kind of hard to get those kids to read.
Mm. Yeah,
I
that was
do not
me.
know what to do with a kid who does not want to read all of the time.
That was me. I didn't like to read, but my older brother loved reading. And so he didn't mess with me like most older brothers do because he just wanted it quiet and peaceful so he could read his book.
Mm.
And I thought that was a gift. And then I had kids and they fight like normal kids do. And I'm like, what is this? I haven't even dealt with this. This never happened to me.
Yeah, I don't quite know how to deal with that either. Because again, I had Rob, who was older than me, and I was bigger than he was, like stronger than he was. So he wasn't going to pick any fights. And then my younger brother was 4 years behind, so he was too small.
Yeah.
Like it was just there's no way to pick that fight and look good. There's no way you're really going to win on that fight. Mind you, he understood that too and would start shit and to get me in trouble for.
Mm-hmm.
We're a bright lot in our family. So yeah, it's a dynamic that I don't understand.
But
That's why we only have one, because it's real hard to lie and make stuff up. Like, oh yeah, no, my little brother did it. You don't have one, dude.
Mhm.
It's you. You're the only one who knocked over the milk glass.
You're the only other person in the house.
I suppose that's how you end up having a kid who does like paranormal research.
Ooh.
No, it was a ghost. It was a ghost. It was the ghost. The ghost did it. I'll prove it. God damn it.
You can't see him. I can see him
They make movies about this stuff.
with a gorilla.
Those are the
With a
gorilla.
gorilla, yeah. Who doesn't really believe in it? It's just a paycheck. Nothing worse than an unmotivated gorilla.
Is
Ugh,
he friends with Dan Aykroyd?
maybe.
Or is Dan Aykroyd?
Mm. I know you've got another podcast floating around out there.
Yeah, I do indeed.
Tell
Honestly, I have dozens of them littering the various and sundry podcast graveyards.
Sure. But I mean the one that you're actively out there doing promotional work for and hosting.
Oh no. Yeah, you're also going to have to be more specific because I do zero promo for any of these things.
By promo work, I'm saying I think I saw you posted about on Twitter once.
Yeah, no, that is the one time that I posted about it. We've been going for 4 years now. I'm pretty sure that's it's about how much.
But tell the folks at home what's up.
That one's called AE Double Back. It used to be called WW Recap. And then there came a point where we could no longer do it. Just could not hang. I believe it was around it was after possibly the first, maybe the second Saudi debacle, and then just after things got real ugly with COVID, when it turned out that they had given the Florida government like $15 million to turn their back and let them keep running shows. I was like, you know what? I have stuck by this goddamn company through steroid scandals and drug deaths and murders
And Jinder Mahal.
and Jinder Mahal, all of the atrocities, all of the war crimes that they have committed. I've had enough. And also the product was garbage at that point. So we're like, hey, look, there's another show. Why don't we just watch that instead? And so we've been watching AEW Dynamite ever since, and it's been a hoot.
Just Dynamite, or you get the Collision and Rampage and all that other stuff too?
Here's the thing: if in my 20s we just had a blast, we would get together every Monday and watch Raw. Just like there were like a dozen of us that would just come trooping into someone's house and watch Raw, and sometimes we'd switch over to Nitro, and we'd get into Thunder and SmackDown eventually, WWE Heat, just watch endless wrestling. And now I've got a kid and a full-time job, and I am too tired not only to keep up with the other 2 shows from AEW, but also any of the I have Peacock. I could watch any of the WWEs. I could watch any of the pay-per-views from decades past. I do not have time to watch a single friggin' one of those things. I can watch Japanese wrestling. I can watch indie wrestling from all over the country, all over the world. It's all at my fingertips, and I do not have the time or the energy to watch any of it. And my younger self is weeping to be able to watch something like New Japan or Stardom, TJPW, DDT, like any of that stuff would have been just amazing. And now I'm just like, oh my God, can I just sleep? Is that a thing I can do? Can I just go to bed? That would be awesome. Thank you.
Just holding out for middle school, man. He's got to go eventually.
Honestly, I'm so looking forward to getting my kid into wrestling, but not now. It cannot be now, because he's still in the stage where he thinks it's real fun to leap off a trampoline and clock me, just like full on body slam out of nowhere. And I can't. I just don't have the attention span to like a samurai to know my surroundings 360 degrees every moment of the day. He'll just come blasting up to me and just slam his head into my stomach. I'm walking with a cup of tea, man. Why? And this is without any professional wrestling. As soon as he learns what a drop kick is, I'm a dead man. I am literally a dead man.
So right now he's pretty much got the arsenal of Kool-Aid Man.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
and you don't want it to progress from that.
Like I absolutely, if you told me that the last thing I would see on earth was just me looking in a full-length mirror, him busting through my torso and going, "Oh yeah," and then me falling down in a heap, I'd be like, yeah, that seems like how I would go.
Yep. Fade to black, roll the credits.
Mm-hmm.
No bonus scene, just done.
No mid-credits cutscene for me. I'm done.
That'd be awesome if they came back and it was just a still shot of the corpse, right? And they're like, and then back to black.
Right, his eyes are closed and there's a faint smile on his face because finally rest.
Right. There was a one-page comic that I loved, and it had the 3 little pigs looking out a window at the big bad wolf giving $100 to Kool-Aid Man. And on the bottom it said, "When shit gets real."
So
I love the idea of Kool-Aid Man, hired gun, right?
Down.
Are there any good commercial mascots anymore?
Let's see. There's the General for that crummy car insurance. There's Flo from Progressive in that cast. There's the Gecko.
Flo's been on the air forever.
So yeah, unless you're insurance, no.
Why insurance?
I don't know.
Cereal makes sense. You're trying to convince dumb little kids to buy your trash food.
Right.
But like, are there 6-year-olds who are like really needing life insurance?
They're not going for that anymore, I guess, because they understand that nothing is going to make their hipster parents buy cereal because they either don't want the sugar or they don't want the gluten. So cereal is kind of out. Like there's very few cereals that sell with any kind of success anymore. Like Honey Nut Cheerios is the #1 seller in the cereal aisle, and it's
that's disappointing.
right. It is barely less boring than Cheerios. Speaking of somebody who loves Cheerios, right? Like Honey Nut Cheerios, Cheerios, I'm in. I don't understand why, but
that's gross, dude. That's gross.
Look, it is, and I accept that, and that's all I can do.
I'm disappointed in myself because, like, as a kid, I'm like, I'm gonna grow up and I'm gonna eat Cookie Crisp every GD day of the week, and here I am. I'm like, oh, gross. A bowl full of cookies? Why would I do that to myself?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, that's basically just that's a death wish. That's a headache and a nasty trip to the bathroom and a nap that is not a fun nap.
Yeah.
You know, it's a necessary nap. It's not an optional nap.
That sugar crash hits different in your 40s.
Yeah, really does.
And I'm gonna team up with Robert on you here, Mike, because if you have kids, there's no such thing as a bad nap. If you manage to fall asleep during a 3-minute commercial break, that was a damn good 3 minutes.
He just called you Robert,
right? Oh, yeah, out of respect.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
From him, not from you.
I was about to say you were introduced to me as Chan, so
you don't get to call me that.
All right, I wasn't planning to. So unless I get to go to Bobby.
No.
I've
been called many things. I have been called Bob in the past, but not a Bobby. I was a Robbie at one point.
As a kid, what was it? What was the?
As a very young kid, it was Robbie. Then it was Robert. Then Bob. Then Chan. Then back to Robert. And now it's more or less Chan.
Okay.
All right. See that again? That's how you were introduced to me.
Yeah, I know. They lied.
I'm stinking Ray. Anyways,
that's fair.
That's it, right. But yeah. Well, again, I grew up. My brother is Rob, and he was a Bobby at a very young age. But then he was 6 or 7 years old, and he was like, you know what? It's Rob. It's just Rob. It's just And he has been that entire as soon as he got the glasses. He was in first grade or so when he got glasses. It's been Rob since then.
Wow.
So he got out before the whole Howie Mandel Bobby thing. So
right. He was business casual from that point on.
Yeah. Okay.
If there was ever a man who will be buried in a collared rugby shirt and khakis, it's my brother Rob.
With a Batman comic. Just one though.
Just one.
It's one.
I mean, he's going to be buried with it, so it's going to be a shitty one, but it'll be a Batman book. Anyways,
is he? Oddly enough, he's going to be the one that's polybagged?
Probably.
Yes.
2 pieces of tape on the back though, because he's a good one.
I feel like the most important contribution that I've made to his life is getting him to tape not widthwise where the tape tears. I got him to switch to taping lengthwise on the back of the comic bag.
Was that a long discussion?
You mean up, down, not side to side?
Yeah. Up, down, not side to side.
Boo.
Because again, the tape doesn't tear.
Mike's right. Mike's right.
And you don't
be right, but it's ugly. It's ugly.
It's on the back.
Back of the comic bag.
I want things to be beautiful front and back. I want to be able to look at both sides because you never know.
So you're going form over function.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I am very much sizzle and very little steak.
This is unforgivable, Jen.
See, but I go straight up and down, but I have the fold come over the front of the cover. So I can see what I'm getting when I open it up.
Okay.
You see that, Mark? I kicked him off his own special edition.
Very good.
Wouldn't be the first time, won't be the last.
Man, we kicked Phil Donnelly off the air. I say we. When I say we, I mean Mike. 7 times, like 2 weeks ago. It was a world record. It was amazing.
Yeah, we are recording this at the beginning of December, so by this point it'll be like 7 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So go back and check that one out, everybody.
If we'd have kicked him out, and I want to say we, I mean you, if you'd have kicked him out for an 8th time, I think he just would have gone to Disneyland.
Probably.
I think just would have been, we come back to a gone fishing sign
Right.
hanging on his chair.
With Mickey ears on the side of it.
Yeah.
Right.
He would have been chasing Goofy in that damn hot air balloon all the way to the Magic Kingdom.
So to segue back to the rails, because that's my job apparently.
Wow. We've only been off the rails for a half hour or so.
That's how I like it.
Okay.
Like it. But give us your thoughts. It is obviously a hot button topic in the world of professional wrestling right now. Give us your thoughts on the state of AEW.
I mean, it is. People are judging. They're doing the tribal thing, like one or the other. It has to be one or the other. You can't have both. There's no way for the two of them to possibly coexist in any way, shape, or form. And then the comparison is obviously this 4-year-old organization versus what are we talking the actual inception of WWE, like 83, something like that. So
yeah, when it made the flop.
So
like
81, 82 at the earliest.
40 years, like obviously it is a completely different beast, and there's no comparison. The real comparison that I think can be made is SNL season 1 versus SNL season 48. There's no comparison between the two anymore because the two are not doing the same thing. When SNL first appeared, they were trying to essentially revolutionize television, or at least their little corner of it. Like, we're going to break all of the rules, and we're going to create something new and exciting, and we're going to make this thing as funny as possible. The thing they are now is an entity that perpetuates itself. Right. And it is phenomenally good at that. It is like, you can't take it off the air. There's nothing that could replace it. It jump starts or fuels so many careers. It pays the bills for so many people, and it just is what it is. And when you go to it, you're like, well, this isn't very funny, but it's too late. You've already gone to it. They already got what they needed out of you, just because it's part of the conversation. And it's going to be that way. Lauren's going to retire, in 2 years, probably. And hopefully he won't be a Vince about it. We'll see.
Right.
But the thing will perpetuate itself. It will continue on without him. And people will always say that it wasn't as good as it was when they were 12 years old. Well, guess what? Everyone's going to say that for the rest of time, because that's what it is. It's a thing that gets its hooks into you when you're an adolescent, just like Mad Magazine did. And we'll remember it fondly and forget that the thing that you're watching now is exactly as good as the thing that you were watching then. You're just a different person. AEW is, I think it's fantastic. It is doing everything that I want. I'm watching it and just enjoying the hell out of it. Ups and downs, obviously. Nothing's perfect. Right. But it is sort of taking a lot of old school stuff and modernizing it and telling really interesting stories and doing a lot of fake fighting that I find really engaging. And I'm glad that I'm watching it. WWE is, it is what it is. And they got some really great stuff there, but given my druthers, that's what I want to be watching. What was the question?
I think you answered it, but I don't remember.
Cool, man.
Your thoughts on the state of AEW?
Yeah, I mean,
again, it was more in reference to everybody in the world at large saying, "Oh, the sky is falling," and I think those are short-sighted folks.
Yeah, and again, it's 4 years in, and you know what? If it's around 36 years from now, it's gonna be terrible, just like the worst of WWE. And Tony Khan has already shown a lot of the symptoms of billionaire syndrome. You know, if he got as big as Vince, he's absolutely going to be as big of a prick as Vince is.
Right.
So,
Shoot, he's already worth how much more?
I'm not going to lash any of my personality to it. I'm an AEW guy. I only watch this. This is, when it is up, I am up. When it is down, I am down. It is a thing I enjoy. I I watch it as long as I enjoy it. The stuff that I don't like, I'm like, well, at least that's over with. And if it gets to the point where there's more of that than there is of the stuff I enjoy, I will go do something else. There is so much friggin' wrestling content out there. It's obscene how much stuff there is out there, and that is so easily accessible. So, like, yeah, there's
All
no.
you have to do is go out to the backyard and the trampoline.
Oh yeah,
that's.
I have done my time as a backyard wrestler. I do not need to do it. I cannot physically do that anymore.
You have to elaborate on that. Come on now. Come on now.
My character was, I will say, mildly racist. But to be fair,
I mean, it was wrestling after all. Come on.
Right.
Well, it was I was the coolie, which was my own creation. It wasn't like someone was like, you know what you should do? You should dress up like a stereotypical Chinaman from, the 1840s or whatever. I just thought it was real funny.
Big money. This is great.
And yeah, because it was the Attitude Era, and we were just dumb kids, man. We had ladder matches. I put my friend through a flaming table.
Awesome.
Jumped off the roof a few times. I got power bombed once and never again.
Right.
That was bad times. I was like, oh, that's what that feels like. Well, great.
Was it a bad power bomb, or was it just a power bomb?
No, it was perfectly fine. All the parts landed where they were supposed to. Turns out the parts aren't as sturdy as I thought they were.
There you go.
So, yeah.
I remember trying a sunset flip on the playground once, and
oh no,
man, when you land flat on your back like that, ooh.
I thought I knew what I was doing because I had been doing theater for so long. I was like, I'm doing stage combat. I know how to do pratfall. I know how to like break my fall. I've done some martial arts, so I, but you miss it just a little bit and just splat. So.
Yeah. I told Ray this last year. I had a moment where I thought about, hey, that might be fun to try. And so, of course, you start looking around to see, well, which of these guys is built like me? Who would I be? And I realized that person was Mick Foley.
Okay.
I'm out.
Yep.
I was in better shape than him at the time. But as far as just being a big, wide guy who's not, I wasn't terribly athletic. I was no slouch, but I wasn't like some super athlete. just a guy who would be good at landing on his giant back. I was out. I just no. I don't need to be the guy with his teeth coming out of his nose on a pay-per-view. No, thank you. I'm willing.
Also,
let that be the guy.
It's a young man's game. You have to get in early. You have to like take those shots before you know what's good for you,
right?
And get to at least, if not enjoy the feeling, at least like keep doing it. Because like the first one hurts, second one hurts a little less, third one hurts a little less, and then if you stop at any point, then the first one hurts again.
Yeah, it resets. Yeah, but I'm talking like this was my early 20s. I was still. I would play team sports and stuff, so I was always throwing myself around, and like that part of it wasn't. But you magnify it by a couple dozen times, and and I decided on a more prudent course of action.
That's for the best. Yeah.
My back is terrible now, so I can't imagine if
Mhm.
playground basketball screwed me up enough. Thanks. That the hell in a cell would not be necessary.
But hey, I mean, you can still dive into a pile full of thumbtacks.
Oh yeah, broken glass, riding around the ring on a bike.
Would have killed.
God, I hated that spot so much.
So bad.
Would have killed my mother that much sooner.
Now getting clotheslined off a bike, I'm in for that.
Okay, that's pretty great, I will say.
But
Yeah.
yeah, the rest of that was kind of rough. I do have a buddy, it's Travis Moody from Toy Kind of Mood, who loves AEW, and I'm not wild about it. I'm not rooting against it. I wish it was more of what I liked. And he'll, once in a while he'll be like, "Well, you're just a WWE mark." I'm like, but I'm not. I'm just a pro wrestling fan. I'd like to see more of what I like, and I don't care what banner it's under, but I'm not loyal to any one federation. I just want to see, good matches and hot angles that make sense. That's not too hard, is it?
One of the things that I like about AEW especially is that there is a pretty broad range of styles available.
Right.
Like they're bringing in a bunch of luchas now. You can turn your head and have one of the goriest Texas death matches of all time. Once in a while they'll bring in Nick Gage. That's not my scene, man. But I like that they did it one time. And they've got the Continental Classic now, which just like a straight up old Japanese style, just strong style, just like no interference, just like good solid matches. A tournament where like I literally would be happy to see any one of those people win. So every single match is a good match.
Right.
And yeah, just like being able to do all those things and then having goofy shit like MJF, who is, just a wunderkind. And again, doing the thing of like taking old dusty 80s tropes and making them relevant again, just having fun, giving us a new look at them. Just mixing it up.
Yeah, the wheel's already been reinvented, right? Or been invented. So there's really no reinventing it. It's just a matter of finding a new way to present these things. And MJF is like, if he was way overbooked on that last pay-per-view, so we'll leave that alone.
There is that, sure.
It was not great, but not every performance is going to be wonderful. But if you're turning that show on and you're not looking at MJF and saying, "Wow, that guy's awesome," I don't know what's wrong with you. If you're not turning that show on and not looking at what Christian Cage has been doing for the last year and saying, "Wow, that guy's awesome," you're not a wrestling fan. You're looking for a logo to get behind.
Conversely, if you turn it on and see Orange Cassidy doing the exact same damn thing he's been doing for 4 years.
Did you? I mean, how much of his title run did you see? Because I saw enough different things from him. The story that he was telling of, like accumulating injuries, and I mean, like the story of the underdog babyface is the first wrestling story, and if you find new and interesting ways to tell it, I'll buy in. And it was a take that I had not seen before, and I at first I was definitely very against Orange Cassidy, but that son of a bitch has grown on me. He is one of my favorites now.
Same.
But also, like, yeah, if you only watch once or twice, you're like,
no,
what is this?
I saw him kick off Dynamite 30, 40 weeks in a row, beating somebody new each week. And my favorite thing he ever did was early on. It was a backstage brawl that flew through a bathroom door, and the door just smashed open, and Cassidy was just in the bathroom, leaning against the wall. I popped like crazy for that. That was hysterical. More of that, please, and less of less of him beating everyone put in front of him.
Well, I mean,
Fair.
it was an undercard belt, so it wasn't like he wasn't beating anybody important.
That's true. It wasn't top flight, guys. Is there any doubt that the belt is going to be on him sooner or later, though?
At this, well, they got it on him again.
No, not that belt. The big belt.
the
Big belt.
Oh God, yes. Come on.
man, I do not know, because there are so many top card guys that could have the belt, and so many that deserve the belt. Like right now,
Right.
like, I mean, I love MJF to death, but like there are half dozen people that I'm like, absolutely, I want to see, Swerve Strickland as the champion.
That's incredible.
Didn't he take a tombstone on a barbed wire wrapped chair and kick out?
That sounds like Swerve, yeah.
Yeah. So that's not really, and I like Swerve. I dig Swerve. But if you kick out from a tombstone on a barbed wire wrapped chair, should I ever believe anything could beat you?
But it's a tombstone from Hangman Page. It's not his move.
And therefore it didn't hurt, apparently.
Look, it's a big move. It does damage, but it's not his finisher.
No, but it's a finisher on a chair, up at two wrapped on barbed wire. 1-2 kick out. Isn't that a problem?
It is. The problem is there is American style, there is Japanese style, there is lucha style, there is European style. There's a lot of different ways to tell stories, and I don't like all of them, but I feel like the context changes, and like like light tubes. Hate light tubes, but there's a certain semiotics there. They mean a certain thing when you use them, and when you have a match that's full of barbed wire everything, it means something different than a match where a single steel chair comes out. So, like, is French your favorite language versus Spanish or English or whatever? May or may not be, but if people are speaking in French, like, that's what they're doing, and they're not speaking English, and so the word, even though it may sound the same, doesn't necessarily mean the same thing. And you speak whatever you want. Speak whatever you want.
And I'm down with the mix of styles. I get that, and I think that's something you get there that you don't get at all, really, from WWF or WB, a little tiny bit, but not in the same way AEW gets it. But if you have, a couple weeks ago, damnedest thing I ever saw, Brian Cage suplexes Kenny Omega from the second rope.
Yeah, outside.
Straight out over and through a table on the floor.
Yeah.
And then they go to the break. They come back in 3 minutes, and Kenny Omega is beating up Brian Cage with the pieces of the table he went through.
Right.
In 3 minutes. And I'm not a big Omega fan. Kudos to him for physically being able to be giving rather than taking 3 minutes later. But if that didn't finish a match, how would you, whatever could?
Right. That's part of my big issue there, is that the executives in AEW tend to overbook their own matches. They overproduce themselves.
How many times are guys going to kick out of, if you hit a guy with a finish and go for the pin immediately, it should be over, and it's never over.
But in a situation, now to put it in context though, in a situation like Swerve's, that's a pay-per-view match. It's you're capping a blood feud. The stakes are just higher. So kicking out of that, okay, I get it, because everybody's just going crazy at that point, and he kicks out because he's numb and he doesn't know what else to do. He's just on fumes at that point. I get that one. I'm with you on the second rope power bomb through a table or suplex through a table.
Yeah.
that he's just up and good from 2 minutes later. I'm with you there.
So why would you put that in as a break spot?
Right, because it's the first hour of a regular weekly show.
Yeah, and normally it would be a safe. If they would do it with a safer move in the ring or just barely on the outside, but if they say, okay, we're going to do this hellacious superplex to the floor to a break spot, and then we'll come back and continue. Well, maybe you will, maybe you won't, right? Like, there's no guarantee Omega's getting up from that. So why would you even put that in?
Yeah,
I mean, we are talking about it, so okay, but
that's such a big move in that context that, like, the next step on that match should be paramedics coming out.
Right. That should be what Hangman does to Swerve as the payback for threatening his baby, right? Or what Swerve does to Hangman to elevate that. So when Hangman comes out a month later, it's like, oh man, it just got real. But no, we'll be right back. Really? Didn't you just kill Kenny Omega on national television?
Shouldn't there be charges filed?
Holy smokes. Like,
I get that, but also like it's the problem that Cornette has with luchadors. You know, like what sense does it make that a guy would hold another guy's hand as he climbs to the rope and then walks across it and does like a double flip moonsault to land on him? You know, like in the context of a actual fight doesn't make any sense. But there are certain things that we allow because we want to see the spectacle that results. In the same way that, like, I don't watch Fast and Furious movies because I'm like, that's stupid. You can't do that with a car
because you have some modicum of good taste.
Yeah,
I mean, well, there's that, but also I have, just like everybody else, like I have my limits. You know, and that's where they are. That's where I happen to be. And Vin Diesel just falls outside those limits. Sorry about it, but that's just what it is.
Goes back,
and, you know,
Street Sharks thing.
Oh yeah, that car kicked out. That car kicked out after 4 pile drivers. That's bullshit.
I mean, they send their goddamn cars to space, and you know what?
Right.
I have never seen any wrestler get flung into space yet.
But stay tuned.
Give it time. At some point, Brian Cage will get his hands on Danhausen.
I'm pretty sure the Young Bucks are going to drop an elbow off a satellite sooner or later. It's going to be incredible.
I'll spend $50 for that.
Yeah, right.
Got to see it once, right?
You know what I actually miss? I don't even know if they do it anymore. Maybe they do it some places. It's almost completely gone in Los Angeles, but I really enjoyed going to AEW pay-per-views in theaters. Like, they would just put the pay-per-view on in an AMC or whatever, and you get 3-4 dozen fans in the theater with you, cheering just like they were there live. And it's superior to the live experience because you actually get to see what's happening.
Right.
We went to the last AEW pay-per-view because it was here at the Forum in LA, and I completely missed the thing where Toni Storm put a pan into her pants and, you know, smacked someone with it. The entire finish to that I missed because I was too far away to see what they're doing.
From what I understand, the TV viewers missed that too.
I mean, there were people that were complaining about it after. I was like, what? That looked like a really fun match. Oh, I didn't realize that that's what had happened. And when you're in that theater, you actually get to see all the stuff, plus have the energy from people who are standing up and cheering when some, you know, the count 3 or whatnot like that. And it's a shame they don't, I guess not enough people are going or whatever. Maybe it's a bad deal for a theater to like carve out a 5-6 hour chunk of their day for one of these. But
that could be it. Those 17 match 6-hour marathons they put on.
Love and hate it in equal measure.
Right. Like at what the kid in you is going, yes, that's so much wrestling. Yes. and the human being in you is like, oh my God, I
Yeah.
Can't watch that much wrestling.
What they should do is put like an hour pre-show on the front of that and a 2-hour scrum at the end of it. just stretch it. So good.
WWE had a friggin' media scrum after
Yeah.
their last pay-per-view.
Yeah.
What the hell?
They always do, but for some reason they've started televising them.
Do they really?
Yeah, like there's always a pay-per-view. There's always a press conference afterwards. But for some reason, people have started paying attention to those. And I don't know why. I can't think of anything that's ever happened on any WWE post pay-per-view media scrum. You know, we got no brawl outs happening on those, but
not yet.
Right.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the whole point.
It didn't even occur to me that those two things happened right around the same time, and now I'm very concerned that they think it would be a really great idea to boost some WrestleMania numbers if they do one of those just before.
All they got to do is sign the Bucks and send them down to Punk's locker room to get their ass handed to them.
Someday.
Just get Larry the dog clear. That's all we need.
Right.
Get Larry. Omega's a good man. Got the dog out. That's all he needed to do.
Did we ever find out which Buck got knocked out?
Does it matter?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They're kind of interchangeable. So I don't
no, one's far douchier than the other, I think. And you know who I'm talking about, right? So you know.
I don't. Sure. I really don't know which one you prefer.
The scuttle was that one of them got knocked cold, and I don't know which one, but I'm hoping it's Matt's the one with the darker hair, right?
Yeah.
He's the older.
Yeah, he's the lead dog.
Oh, you think he's the douchier one? I always figured it for Nick.
No. Right. Sooner or later, someone's going to land in live. Someone's going to land a drone on the bald spot on Nick's head, and that's going to be the end of it.
And
they'll just be the Bucks after that.
I mean, they kind of already are, aren't they? They're like 40 and 34. They're not really Bucks anymore.
Yeah,
they're just
the old Bucks doesn't quite work.
I mean, they're younger than us, so far be it for me to apply the correct.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
they're youngins,
right? Relatively speaking. So, Chan, let's bring this back to G.I. Joe a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Why not? By all means.
Right? We will veer off again, I'm certain. But Honcho's a Steeler guy. My favorite is Beachhead. What's the character that you ride or die with out of G.I. Joe?
I mean, as a kid, hands down, it was Snake Eyes. Like,
that's your basic.
Because
wait, was it Snake Eyes, Hulk Hogan, Michael Jordan, and Joe Montana?
How dare you? How dare you? It was I was a Piper guy, first off.
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
I was a Snake Eyes guy because when you're a little Asian kid and you're the only Asian kid, any sort of Asian culture, any sort of Asian influence in pop culture, you're going to glom onto. Right. So I would watch Kung Fu movies as a kid, and then I found ninja movies. I'm like, oh my God, this is some next level ish. And then along comes like Snake Eyes. I'm like, well, that guy's a ninja.
In fairness, he's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
He's pretty awesome. And look, I was a kid. There is no child in the 80s that didn't think the Uzi was the be all end all of like it would be Uzi versus nuclear bomb. You're like, well, the guy with the Uzi obviously could take out the other dude.
Oh, dude,
the most awesome weapon in the history of everything.
Between Snake Eyes and Magnum PI, man, that Uzi by a mile.
Hells yeah. But then as I got a little bit older, like a couple years older, like still in my childhood, I was like, what is up with Tomax and Zaymont? These guys are nuts. I love it. I don't know what it was. Maybe I just had a thing for like the Cheech and Chong's Korskin brothers. I was like, what if that were in a G.I. Joe cartoon? But yeah, those were from that point on. I was a Tomax and Zaymot guy.
They are kind of like the Italian CEO gymnast Cheech and Chong. I never thought about it that way.
I'm saying.
Why?
Why?
Damn it, Corsican.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Like, why? And looking back at them now, like they're like little proto Trumps. Like they're terrible, but God bless them. Still love them.
Look, it's great storytelling, and I'm sure that somewhere on the East Coast there's a Chan Clark Robert that looks just like you that has a star. And
one of the things I found before I moved to Los Angeles, I would just like come down to Los Angeles visiting or whatever, and I would always see doppelgangers, like the sexy doppelgangers of people that I knew back home, and I just always assumed that like in Los Angeles there is a version of you that is younger, hotter, more muscular, whatever. So like for the idea of having a much better looking, more successful twin has always been in the back of my head.
So they just clone us and send us a sexy class, and then.
I mean, I feel like everybody there's two of every person, and one of them like has the gumption to go follow their dreams in Los Angeles. The other one stays back, whatever they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Although I imagine I think there might be 3 because there's got to be a less successful, less sexy version of me somewhere.
Right. I was going to say, so are you the guy who followed his dreams to LA, or are you looking for that version of yourself?
No, I saw that guy before,
okay.
Which should have told me right off the bat, don't move to Los Angeles. That guy's already here and he's doing better than you. You're not going to cop him.
I would have mugged him and taken that wallet and
it just pretended that I was him.
Just put some product in the hair and off you go.
This is why I'm not the more successful one, because I don't have thoughts like that.
You still got a chance homeowners association. That's
somewhere that guy gets home and is out of his Bugatti and sets down his briefcase and goes in the backyard. And when his kid comes off the triple trampoline, he just turns and gets him by the neck, right? Because his life's that much better.
The goofle right there.
Yep, right there. And the kid goes, "You're the best, Dad. I'm going to bed right now."
Wow, I came into this podcast a lot happier than I'm leaving it.
That's why I'm here.
We have that effect. That's what we're known for.
Mike puts it back on the rails. Rob talks about Batman, and I make people feel worse about themselves. So
anytime we need a parenting joke, Mark Weber.
Yep. I also and I have a cat. So there you go.
There you go.
Perfect.
I have cat video, but I don't have a cat.
I got a cat tree right next to me right here.
Holy smokes. Right next to which one's that? Ginger? Oh, look at that. Hey man. Hey, what's for dinner there?
This is not a nut-free household, I'll tell you that
much. Mark, you still got your visitor in the cat condo there?
Yeah, he's out though. Like he's not. There's no part of him that's visible. He's just done. Once in a while, he'll wander by, and the tail comes by like a shark fin. It's pretty cool, but
he likes to be a part of things.
Yeah, he's not real sociable, and he's got like 100 claws. So we just let him do his thing.
Right. And, I took that the first time he showed up, and you got him some camera time. I took that bit and I put it as a short on YouTube, figuring, well, this will get us some cheap views.
Yeah.
Everybody loves cat video. It is our worst performing. I tagged it up with cat stuff. I didn't even tag it up with G.I. Joe stuff. It drives me crazy. I hate it. You hear that, YouTube? I hate you. Hate you. All this time, 1,300 viewers. 13 years, Chan.
Yeah. That is rough, man.
Well, we still have a successful audio podcast, which is just all the audio from what we record live on Tuesday nights. So I don't know. We do better than that, but you know, what can I tell you? What can I do? Nothing. I don't know. Pour more time and resources into a ship that refuses to sail.
Yes, that's the plan. It's a bad plan that can't be changed.
We're all just content monkeys here.
Truthfully, it's been long enough now that if I stopped, I wouldn't know what to do with that time. So it's probably keeping me off of drugs. It's keeping everybody in the parking lot, like their hubcaps are all safe.
My kid is now old enough that every once in a while I'll find that I have like a few hours to myself, like or like I'll get off work a little bit early, or you know there'll be like half a weekend day or something like that, and I could do literally whatever I want, and I don't know what to do. I have no idea who I am anymore or what I would do with free time given free time. I'm like, have I finished editing all the podcasts? I guess I could just go I don't know, pull some clips. What do I do?
I think what's important, Chan, is that the first thing you do is you grab the keys and you get in the car and you leave the house. And it doesn't matter where you go after that. Just go somewhere else. Go to Arby's. That's fine. At least you went to Arby's.
They have the meats, you know.
What if I don't want the meats?
And then don't go to Arby's.
That's fine. I'm not saying you got to go to Arby's and buy something.
You're in friggin' LA. Don't go to Arby's. Go to Tommy Burger like everybody else. Come on now.
Go get some of them great tacos we keep hearing about here in the Midwest.
Hey,
go to Round Table Pizza.
Come on.
I love Round Table. Can't get that in Rhode Island.
We're a Shakey's family.
Oh, that's a good spot.
Found out that there were like 3 video games in the back, and so like, well, let's go to Shakey's.
What video games?
It's like one old ass driving game, and that sort of Frogger knockoff. That's just got one big button, and kid's 6 and already has shit taste in video games.
Man,
I mean, I was hoping you were going to give me some retro goodness, like Donkey Kong Jr. or Mr. Doo's Wild Ride or something. But
no, I mean, Lord knows if there were a Street Fighter 2 machine in there, we would be there every other night.
Right.
But
right. Agreed. I was more of a Mortal Kombat guy, but the button combos were easier for me for some reason.
There's a barcade out here in Arizona or in Rhode Island that has like one Sunday a month is Family Day, right? So I hauled the kids down there and we found the X-Men game, right? The 5 people can play at the same time. And I'm like, dude, I'm Cyclops because I'm a Cyclops guy. And it was broken. All he had was the button that shot his giant optic blast, which you only get like 2 of. He had no punch. He had no jump. He could just walk, kill everything twice, and then he was just a target. And my son was like, "Hey, Dad, did you know that Cyclops kind of sucks?" I'm like, "Yeah, I get that a lot, Derek."
Tell me your kid's a Nightcrawler guy.
What is Derek? I think he was probably Wolverine because he's so overpowered in that game, right?
Sure.
A walking target who's only useful twice, just like the comic.
Yeah, kind of like the comics. Yeah, so cool. So weird that he was the leader for so long. Yeah,
how much respect we had for middle management back then.
He was the best at complaining. So, anyway.
My favorite meme is still Cyclops saying to Wolverine, "Hey, how's that healing factor work on your heart?"
Yeah, this is one where I got to concede for you.
Yeah,
that's he did. Cyclops did bag his fair share of hot super chicks.
Yep.
So good for him.
Well played.
That's what we call making the most of what you got.
That's right.
I have this thing. I shoot lasers out of my eyes that I can't control it.
Right.
Oh, well, what else do you do? I bitch a lot. Well,
Yeah.
all right. Well, that's the second superpower.
Hot damn.
I complain and I won't make eye contact with you. Want a date?
Right. Calls up his little brother all the time, and he was like, "Hey, how's marriage with your green-haired wife? You want to talk to the White Queen? No? All right, fine."
They don't get written in the book very much, so I dare say Havoc's doing a little better.
We'll see.
Just at home watching Breaking Bad or whatever, you know.
Right.
It's a whole thing, man. Like Marvel is almost foreign territory for me, except for Spider-Man. Like Rob taught me how to read. I was 3 years old with his copies of Justice League of America. So that 80s JLA is just what's ingrained into my head. Except for my first book was, of course, Spider-Man's ABCs.
Nice.
It's still somewhere. I have it somewhere.
Which Spider-Man was it?
I think it was the one that they use in the Little Golden books.
It's Ben Reilly.
Sure. Whatever.
I think my first actual comic book was an issue of the New Defenders. I don't remember which one it was, but it was during the era where Cloud was one of the characters. And I don't know, I was like, must have been like 6 or 7 years old. And like a hot girl who just had clouds over her bikini area. I was in.
Right.
There you go.
I didn't need anything else.
Woke something in you.
Mm-hmm.
Something you did not yet understand.
Now I only get turned on by fog, which is
Right.
awkward.
Which is strange, but hey, the mornings are great.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
You're in LA, so does smog do anything? I mean, smog?
Oh yeah, you're a dirty girl. Mm-hmm.
Hey, you can kick me out if you guys need a minute. There you go. Hey, wait, that's not what I asked for.
Oh no, what is he doing? What is he?
No, it's too quick.
I left you here with smog.
I think it's actually pronounced Smaug.
Smog.
Technically, yeah.
Oh, it's too sexy. It's too sexy.
Too sexy.
We're all gonna go to sleep with images of Benedict Cumberbatch like slinking around in his green screen outfit. Have you seen those pictures?
No, huh?
They used they did motion capture on Benedict Cumberbatch as Smog. So if I don't know what you would look up to find that, but he's in like the that green screen suit with like the little balls all over it, just like crawling around on the floor like a dragon. It'd be great.
I mean, I dig Cumberbatch and I loved him as the voice, but he's not going to be a more convincing dragon than anybody else, right? Like, come on now.
I mean, who's to say?
Look,
he's getting into the role.
I guess
the bar was set by Andy Serkis, and he felt he had to get over it.
Mm-hmm.
There it is.
Dang, you got a problem with Andy Serkis?
No, it's power on.
Not impressed.
It's a little later out here. No, Andy Serkis is a genius. We're actually just watching the old. We fired up the whole Lord of the Rings this week. We're gonna try to get through. We had read. I think it's true that in the fight scene at the very end, an orc throws a knife at Aragorn, and he deflects it with the blade, which we've seen 100 times in 100 movies. But supposedly there was a prop error, and the orc actually threw a real knife at Viggo Mortensen. And so when he deflects that knife with his sword, it sounds great because he actually was deflecting a knife with a not sharp, but a metal sword.
Right.
So we waited like 2.5 hours for that, man. We're like, come on, man, where's the knife? Where's the knife?
Not sharp is kind of a moot point, right? That
yeah,
point. It's just going to do different kind of damage.
Whew. That'll wake you up in the morning. Having to go to work and have an orc throw a real knife at you.
I think it's more likely to put you out.
Yeah,
Right?
it's probably true too.
We just bought a big fancy TV on Black Friday, and you know what I haven't seen on it yet? Because it's got the fancy HD that I apparently didn't know I was missing for the past 8 years. I have not watched any of the Lord of the Rings on that yet.
Well, see,
I don't-
that's the good thing that Mark Webber has brought to your life.
Yeah, I'm here to help.
Oh.
Mhm.
I'm gonna watch me some orcs. Try
Put on
to
put on some NFL games and see how bad those sideline reporters really look in 4K HD. That hastened the end of Chris Berman's career. Never wanted to see him that crystal clear.
I'll watch some old Star Trek episodes and get freaked out.
There you go. When I was a kid, when Star Trek was over, Doctor Who would come on.
Oh.
And we would go from Star Trek levels of professional set design to Doctor Who, and we would go, man, this shit looks terrible. Even as kids, we were like, how fake is this shit? So when Doctor Who got popular again, 20 years ago or whatever, I'm like, nah, I'm not watching it. I already know what it's going to look like. It's going to look like garbage.
When it started becoming popular again, I watched the first episode of the new ones, and it's an episode with like mannequins or whatever, and like living plastic, and the effects were terrible, like legit awful CGI, and so I swore off it for years, and then I came back, tried watching another Doctor, and I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. So now whenever people are like, I don't get the Doctor Who, what should I start with? I'm like, I could tell you like 8 places where not to start.
Right.
But once you do get in, then oh man, you're gold. There's
Don't start in 77. 77 was a bad year for Doctor Who.
We just started watching Tom Baker because we're trying to get the kid into it. It's not really vibing with that, but with Tennant, he's digging it. So
Well, it sounds
yeah,
like Scrooge McDuck.
huh?
Sounds like Scrooge McDuck.
There's that, I guess. He's not much of a Disney kid.
Oh man.
Not much of a duck, which sucks because I got Carl Barks up the Yinny up on my bookshelves here, and he's not into it. I'm like, what's wrong with you, man?
Oh man. That is a shame. DuckTales reboot, quality show. Quality.
Yeah.
Great show.
I respect that.
The original I didn't care one way or the other for.
We've had to watch it a couple times, and I've been pretty impressed with how it's hold up. I didn't watch it when back then either, but like,
Right, like it was fine. It just, I was not at that point in my life anymore. Where you're going to give me a show full of Disney ducks and Donald's not a part of it and expect me to be entertained. No. DuckTales reboot, Donald is all over it, which is why it's awesome. Well, it's part of why it's awesome.
Is he all roid ragey all the time? That's my favorite Donald.
No.
Yeah.
No?
No.
Oh.
Then what's the point?
Yeah. Again, Donald is he is us. We are Donald. Donald is us. He's America's favorite underdog waterfowl.
Second. I say second, but honestly, it's a shame how far the Looney Tunes have fallen.
Oh yeah.
In pop culture estimation. And I don't know, because again, I try and show it to my kid, and he's like, no, what is this trash? And I'm like, but this is my childhood.
Right.
What are you saying? This is everything. All of what I am is because of the Looney Tunes. I guess it just does not translate. Not all of it.
Yeah, that's why I haven't shown my kids any Stooges stuff because I don't think they'll like it, and I don't know how I would deal with that, right?
And you don't know how to explain Iggy Pop to them.
Yeah,
that
might be a little hard. Yeah, might be a little hard.
70s punk reference.
He's an acquired taste. But I wasn't expecting the Iggy Pop turn. I'm sorry. I should have been. That's what I was doing before this thing turned on, is listening to First Wave on XM.
Nice.
Anyhow, good Lord, we've meandered through 7 different conversations over these last couple hours. What else do we need to know?
You should check out Who Would Win. That's another thing that I do on occasion. It's a lot of fun. It's a podcast that is, you pit 2 geek culture characters against one another, and have a debate about who would win in a fight. It's well trod ground. There's a lot of shows that do. There are literally at least 4 other currently running podcasts also called Who Would Win. So it's kind of a saturated market. But at the same time,
so how do we know which one that you're working on? How do we know which one is that one?
Look for Ray and James.
There you go.
I would say look for the one with the 2 white guys who talk about geek stuff.
Right. So, but it's a podcast. So there you go.
Turns out that there's 4 other podcasts. But I have fun with it, and I try and keep, because it's their show. It's Ray and James's show. I do the engineering. I do some other creative stuff in the background. I do some of the Patreon stuff. And I judge a lot, but mostly it's them. But I try and drag them into silliness, into just having fun with it. Right. Because I mean, it's so disheartening to me that the geek stuff that I loved as a kid is now popular. You're not going to get thrown into a garbage can in high school because you like X-Men anymore. But the downside of that is that there are so many jerks that are in the space and are just there to. It's like when the jocks discovered metal. And, it used to be you could go into a pit and, fling yourself around and everybody be looking out for each other. And then the jock showed up and started hurting people.
Right.
So, now you're in a forum about superheroes, and there's people who are like, oh, you suck. You're the worst. How dare you think that friend Colossus could be Juggernaut? And just the whole thing just devolves into just the worst aspects of humanity. So I still like being in that space, and I trying to keep it as light and fun as possible. And if you were to go check out that particular Who Would Win podcast with Ray Stacanis and James Gavsey, you might find it be kind of enjoyable if you're into that sort of thing.
I liked the 2-minute 50th episode that was Colossus and Magneto. That was a good one.
What the F is that?
Didn't last real long. I'm trying to that whole Magneto Iron Man showdown. That was kind of short.
Chan, what else do we have here? We have touched base on knowing is half the podcast. We have talked about your history in the brand. We have talked about your wrestling preferences. We have talked about who would win. What else do we have given parenting tips to the masses? That's 5 big talking points right there. What else do we need to know about you, sir?
I mean, that's it. That's all. That is the sum total of my existence, man.
Right. I mean, we even know that Sporty Spice is your Spice Girl.
Yeah.
That's
got her tattooed on my calf.
That is going way into the layers.
It's yeah. I feel like Godzilla's gonna be my next tattoo. It's Godzilla and Totoro, kind of a 2-piece thing, I think.
Is that Godzilla with Sporty Spice's head, or?
Oh,
I mean, you can only put so much spice on your body, and we have the maximum amount now.
Okay. So. But Mark Weber, you have any last thoughts?
I mean, I'm just thinking how you're gonna get Godzilla on the neck. unless he's like swimming Godzilla and he's going around.
It just has to be Godzilla's head. The rest of him can be on Chan's body.
I was thinking if the other calf is free, he can be the head up, shooting lasers to the heavens Godzilla. That's a good look.
Oh, okay, yeah. Or how about I get Godzilla holding up Godzuki,
Right.
Godzuki on my neck, and then like all the way down the chest.
I was going to say, I don't know how much real estate you're planning to allocate here, but if it's a small spot, Gadzook is never a bad choice.
And then you're a shoo-in for that 3-to-3 shift at the Circle K.
Right.
Shoo-in.
Get Gadzook and put the big green G.I. Joe helmet on him and make the great Gadzook. And now you're winning tattoo.
That's the Greek stew.
Yeah, the same difference. Whatever.
And Godzuki, damn it. There's an E on the end. Godzuki.
Is there?
Yeah.
I don't remember them calling him Gadzuki on the cartoon.
It was in the theme song, Mark. Come on.
I remember the theme song. I don't remember an E on the end.
And
I remember there were a lot of O's, right? I don't remember an E, but
there's Godzuki. Then in the Toho movies, it was Manila, Minilla.
But he didn't do his own singing. That was all voice tracked.
No. Yeah.
Yeah. And then didn't Godzilla jump on like a robot scooter and drive around sometimes? I'm trying to think of the unnecessary sidekicks we didn't like. T-Bob. He rode around on T-Bob, I'm pretty sure.
I liked T-Bob. It was Scott that I hated.
I don't know. It's like Kid Omega on that Star Wars cartoon. Ooh.
Right. Like Scott was the worst. T-Bob almost made him salvageable. They gave T-Bob funny lines to say.
And he could transform, so he had that going for him.
The problem was never T-Bob. The problem was that T-Bob was saddled with Scott.
We ever see Scott's mom?
She's out of the picture, man.
She's at the bar.
She's gone.
Sorry, Scott Tracker. You got dealt a rough hand. Dad, mom's at the bar. You get to play with T-Bob.
That's about it for Special Edition 89, everybody. For our special guest, Robert Clarke-Chan, for the honcho Mark Weber, I'm your host, Mike Irizarry. Merry Christmas. Have a happy New Year. We'll catch you next week. Have a good one.
Beer.
It's Whamageddon all over again.
Oh, speaking of, cadet teaching last week, and a girl in the first period, my daughter's she's freshman in high school, first period class, she's in there. Another girl in the class, I give them their assignment. They say, Mr. Weber, can we put on a Christmas playlist? And it sounds like they're trying to rook the sub, right? And I said, does Mrs. I'm going to make up a name, Vanderkamp, normally let you guys do that? And they go, and a bunch of kids said, yep. I'm all right. So, and my daughter Elizabeth goes, I'll find one for you, Dad. Okay. So she's doing the YouTube thing, and she's like, okay, cool. And then she puts something up and hits play, and that's how my daughter eliminated 20 people from the Whamageddon at 8:45 a.m. on December 1st. It was the most cold-blooded thing ever. I heard Last Christmas queue up, and I'm like, what the She had no idea what she'd done, but like 3 people in the class were like, oh! That's it. The babyface assassin.